Hey internets, it's Jake from Mini Terrain Domain, and this is Aether Nexus, the Severed Knight Trilogy, part 2 of our trilogy. Part 1 aired just 2 days ago here on Friday night, and part 3 will air in 7 days. 7 days from today will be the finale of this trilogy, taking place at 4 p.m. Eastern, right here at twitch.tv/Mini Terrain Domain. This is a sponsored stream featuring Aether Nexus, the fantasy mecha role-playing game from Absolute Tabletop. Some of our favorite people and favorite creators over at Absolute Tabletop have made amazing D&D 5e third-party supplements, as well as systems like Aether Nexus, the Mecha Hack, other things that really stand out. So we're really excited to be able to bring that to you. If you are watching with us live, you can head over to the link that I just dropped into the chat to Drive Through RPG to pick up a copy of your own of Aether Nexus. But we are also going to be giving away 1 to 2 copies today during the game. Keep an eye out for either a verbal or a chat announcement, but also keep an eye out at the bottom of the screen for the arrival of the airship. The sky ship, Blazing Fury, will show up at the bottom of the screen to let you know that it's time for a giveaway. That will go for about 10 minutes, and you'll be able to have a chance to win your own digital copy of the game. I am super stoked to once again have these 5 amazing people joining me around the virtual table. I am, of course, talking about Sarah, Jay, Carrie, Vi, and Dwight. Thank you all for being a part of this and bringing your incredible role-playing and gameplay styles to this. We're going to do just a couple more, just a couple quick check-in announcements, and then we're going to jump into the game proper. Content warning: we are all adults playing in a fantasy mecha role-playing game. As such, you may hear adult language, graphic depictions of violence. Given the nature of Aether and the sort of cerebral aspects of it, we may delve into some psychological either terror or type monsters or foes, so keep that in mind. If this is something that you are not okay with, please feel free to find somewhere safer for you and take care of yourself. Know, though, that we all have an understanding of everybody's lines and veils. We have safety tools that are in place. We use a traffic light system that is a very simple tool to use to make sure that everybody stays safe around our table. I've just dropped a link at a place you can go to get a hold of the free TTRPG safety toolkit, where you'll see some of the resources that we use. We encourage you to use safety tools, session zeros, all of those things in your own games, whether you're playing with people for the first time or the 1,000th time. The same people you've been playing with for 30 years, you try something new, have a session zero. You've been playing a game for a while. For example, our Kids on Bikes game. We're going into our 3rd season. We will have another session 0 before we go into the new season. It's important to keep everybody safe around your table. Finally, before every game, we like to check in with everybody and just remind you, you matter. Your presence on this earth makes a difference. Whether you believe it or not, it is true. There are any number of reasons why you might be struggling, but one of the reasons should not be struggling to find help. If you are looking for somebody to talk to, or you know somebody that needs somebody to talk to, all you have to do is type !help in the chat. A couple of URLs will pop up. You can check out findahelpline.com or the growing list of resources at takethis.org. We encourage you to check out those websites, bookmark them, save them for yourself, save them for a friend, and remember, you matter. With that, we are going to delve into the shattered world of Eskhara, or delve back into it. We're going to have a bit of an intro, exposition, opening credits, and when we come out of this, while this is rolling, you can decide amongst you players who, or if all of you want to take a piece of it, I'm going to have you do a recap to bring us up to speed. With that, welcome to Eskhara.
Tenets of the Aetheric Night. A knight serves first their oath, for Eskhara is her people. A knight serves second the Nexus, for many become one. A knight serves third themselves, for Eskhara lives in you. A knight serves always Eskhara, for she preserves all. During the Hive Wars, the Aetheric Knights arose with their mighty apparatus to face the chittering legions of the Ogdra, insidious conquerors born of the Abyss. For countless years, the Hive Wars ravaged Eskhara, fragmenting the realm into ash and ruin. Yet its people clung to hope. In the face of extinction, the Eskarans mounted a desperate final stand. Led by an elite nexus of knights known only as the Six, they drove the Ogdra back into the Abyss. But victory came at a cost. The founder of the Six fell in the final battle, their cauldron body dissipating into the ethereal. The severing of number one was felt throughout the Nexus, an unbearable moment of pain and fear. Then silence. Though hailed as heroes of the Hive Wars, the surviving members of the Six disbanded, retreating into a reluctant retirement and leaving the horrors of war behind. Until now. Whispers stir within the Aether, and an ominous force awakens, pulling them back into the shadows they vowed to leave behind. Destiny isn't done with the Six just yet. Last time on Aether Nexus, the Severed Night Trilogy, basically, our heroes were all just off and living their lives, either, trying to forget what happened in the wars or just trying to start anew. When all of a sudden they started to hear a whisper of something from across Eskhara, and it felt strange and yet familiar. They all started to get a beacon to return to our ship, the Blazing Fury. Is that right? Blazing Fury?
Aye.
And when they did, they were greeted by an ominous hole in the pod where number one's Radis was, who was named Aegis. He had apparently escaped and gone somewhere else. Our ship daddy, Admiral Grux, came and surprised the hell out of us and told us that he would take us wherever we needed to go. And I think, okay, you guys are going to need to jump in here. We found out where they were headed from Admiral Grux. And then the ship took off in that direction. And that's about as much as I remember.
I mean, I remember there was a fight. I don't remember the details. Help.
We landed, eventually landed on Cerium, a planet that is made of rust and death from old radices, and we have the black sands areas and tiny little razor raptors and weird 6-footed cats. We had a little bit of an issue, one of us did, getting down there and getting their footing right. But we all eventually managed, and it was when we were all kind of gathering together on the planet that our lovely Humbit saw and captured a fleeting image. And after absorbing that image and seeing a disgraced knight that was obviously on the planet, we ended up being right in front of them.
Awesome. I love tag teaming with you, Sarah. Hell yeah. Let's go.
We ended up fighting some fleeting images and some aberrant thoughts, and we also fought a revenant. And towards the end of the fight, Aegis, our number one's Radis, shot off their cannon and got at least one of us before disappearing and leaving the disgraced knight Kelro and his Magus Radis Doom Speaker left for us.
Amazing.
Thank you, Sarah and Gary, for that incredibly detailed recap. That brings us to where we are now on Cerium, in the midst of these heaping piles of rusting apparatus frames and skyships tied together, lashed to floating fragments of Eskhara, and held together by vegetative vines, some of which are obviously tainted with the abyss energy, and you've also learned or know that they are fed by runoff from the ether rivers, something that is sometimes known as dream drip. Standing before you, having actually walked closer to you, but not into your same span, staying one span away, but stopping, the cockpit opens up, and again, the disgraced knight Elro holds up the arm of the Magus, and spores fill the air, and he inhales deeply. What do you all do?
Just to be clear, is he doing drugs or is he trying to survive? I don't know how his people breathe.
So he is a mycodri, which means he is a form of a fungal being, which is, I guess when I put it that way, I'm realizing that it's kind of in essence like inhaling your own dandruff in a sense. So I'm gonna not put it that way. Different spores. There's different kinds of spores. I guess you're not really sure if he's trying to survive. Yeah, maybe he's a Saw Gerrera who's trying to just breathe in. But I would say this is a little more akin to Gandalf puffing away on his pipe with some of that good smoke weed.
Perfect. Noted. And one last question. Have we met him before, or do we just know of him?
So, as a reminder, Dwight, do you want to remind everybody, or do you remember
please.
what the reason he was disgraced?
Yeah, he was tasked with protecting governor and important politician that the Six assassinated.
So you would all have a familiarity with him from the mission briefs prior to. So you absolutely all know who this disgraced knight.
Ori has her Raddus turned to the four of you, shoulder of the Raddus rolling, knuckles cracking, and she says, "Want me to pin him down for you?" As she flexes her Raddus's large muscles, or the equivalent of muscles, obviously, for a frame.
Yeah, I think you hear Stratus. It doesn't. It looks like somebody cracking their neck from side to side, or cracking their knuckles, but it just sounds like servos spinning and like something revving up and then revving down. And Stratus would turn to Big Guy and be like, "Oh, pin him down if you feel like it." And that's the only contribution for now.
I think then Ori, inside Big Guy, will like slowly lumber towards the disgraced knight Kelro, just like making it very obvious that she's approaching, and this gives him a chance to either like respond, like, "Oh no, I'm not here to fight you," or whatever. You know, just giving him a chance to speak up for himself before she closes in the distance.
As you approach, you see a slight shift in the Magus Raddus. In only the cockpit remains open, Kelro is exposed, but the Magus, which looks like this towering wizard-like figure, though it does not carry a staff, it only has that device by which Kelro is inhaling spores. It shifts its position to an almost meditative position. If it had legs visible beneath the plate skirting that came down, you would imagine them to be crossed as it moves into this meditative-like state, and its hands settle across where its knees would be, and it hovers about 8 feet above the surface as you approach. Hands outstretched, palms upward.
I would kind of like tap Big Guy, and I'd be like, "Wait a minute, it doesn't really look like he's gonna run."
We don't trust this, as Nyx is like suddenly just getting in this position, and suddenly, yeah, I'm gonna do it. All his little his spiders on his apparatus, he's got little Raddus's mites on, suddenly converge on the center of his back. And you've seen this before. I use an incidental. I basically pull out my cannon.
Oh my god.
And it basically grows. But this is a different cannon that you have seen before. It's much bigger.
I'm going to use my augment for battle analysis. So I get to choose and engage your adjacent foe, test Aether to determine a weak point, and mark them if I succeed.
Okay. There is no modifier this roll.
Okay. That is a pass. Rolled a 7, needed an 11. So.
Okay. So
I'm not raising my weapon or anything. This is just entirely informational.
So yeah, you're identifying a weakness, which means Kelro / Dream Speaker, or excuse me, Doom Speaker is now marked. I think the weakness that you identify is, I'm going to give you both the Disgraced Knight and the Raddus's weakness. The Disgraced Knight is stoned out of his mind. In the same way,
that's his weakness.
he has clearly relied on these spores since his fall. So he is on a whole other plane of thought. And the Ratus is completely disarmed. It has no armaments, at least nothing visible.
Big guy takes a few large, lumbering steps forward, and I imagine like there's like a bit of like a megaphone like speaker that you can project your voice out of the Ratus with, and it's like this rumbling voice because that's what Big Guy has. Or he will say out, "You're gonna have to explain what you're doing here," she says, as with this giant imposing Ratus. Over the
you're
discreet
gonna have
gate.
to explain what you're doing here. Did that sound good?
Oh my
I
God.
would like.
I love it.
I would like everybody to make a. I think this is going to be an Aether test. Need everybody to make an Aether test. This is going to have a +2 modifier to it.
Aether test.
We have a failure for Ori. She's a little bit confused with what's going on.
Kin will pass.
I
Fail.
rolled a 1
I passed.
Triumph.
with the 3. So I thought I'd make it a 3.
So, looks like everybody but Ori and Humbit passed. So, Ori and Humbit, you do not have any choice but to listen to the Etheric Night. The others, you can basically... So, let me describe narratively what's happening. All around you, you realize that some of these spores are starting to fall like pollen.
Ooh.
All around you.
Like the scene in The Wizard of Oz with the poppies.
Kind of, yeah. We're kind of
will
in
make
that.
them sleep.
Poppies.
But it's not making you sleep. What you realize is it's putting the three of you that passed realize what's happening, and you're able to take measures to not. You can't completely avoid its effects, but you can mitigate it enough that it's not going to hold sway over you. Unfortunately, Humbit and Ori were not so lucky. This has the effect of enhancing the way in which, think of this in the same way that Ori used this sort of megaphone to speak through Big Guy. Mycodri speak through spores in a form of a sort of fungal telepathy, if you will. This is Kelro's version of a megaphone. Unfortunately, Humbit and Ori, you cannot hang up the call, as it were.
Oh God.
During this conversation, the other three of you can choose to not listen. The other three of you will also have favor should you decide to make any type of like Aether or Hearth tests
Awesome.
while he's speaking.
Okay.
You all hear in your mind, it sort of forms it's sort of sensation, it's imagery coupled with basically touching on all of your senses, but it sort of represents itself in words. I remember you. You killed my ward, Ambrosia Lightfall. Because of you, I was disgraced and banished from my home fragment. For years I hated you for that. But now, I'm glad that I have the opportunity
I shoot.
to thank you. You shoot
I shoot my cannon.
as he says thank you.
Oh,
Well, I'm going to give you I'm going to give you the DM equivalent of, are you sure you want to do that?
I didn't hear the last word. We jumped the gun. We jumped the gun.
Yes, we did.
Yes, we jumped the gun. I'm going to shoot, but I'm going to miss him. I'm going to go right next to him.
A shot across the brow, as it were. I said
Shot
brow
across
on
the bow.
purpose.
As Nixus refers to him as a third person, we shoot across the bow. Yeah.
So I imagine this as he says, "We have an opportunity." Or he's not we. He says, "I am glad I have the opportunity." And then,
Holy shit!
as he just goes, "To thank you."
Oh my god, that's awesome. That's great.
You feel the cower for a second, like, oops, you know.
You set me free.
Who was that? Who was your friend there, Calro? The one who pieced out right before, right before the end of the battle.
Why do you ask questions you already know the answer to?
You can see Stratus kind of shrug its mighty shoulders, and you would just hear, "Well, I just figured I had to ask."
You have a hole in your nexus. Void where once there was consciousness. You remember the moment your night was severed. You feel it every moment of every day, don't you? The absence is almost as profound as their existence. Now, imagine you are the apparatus of a severed night. How empty must they feel? How lonely becomes their existence? Look around you. What do you see?
I mean, I see the rest of our nexus.
Short-sighted.
Ori steps forward. I may be a postdoctorate ethereal scholar, but I'm going to need you to talk a little bit more plainly here.
I enjoy a riddle as much as the next gal, but still.
All around us is the detritus of an age of war. Shattered skyships. The broken bones. Apparatus frames left to rust into obscurity. Sometimes, on the aether currents, I hear their forlorn lamentations, their pleas for help, and I answer their prayers. I am the shepherd of the lost apparatus. I am their messiah, giving them salvation, making disciples of them.
Oh, Jesus. I think Rifki... and
Literally,
Via Stratus-
he's claiming himself to be an
Kinda.
apparatus Jesus.
I said, I mean, that's all well and good, but there's kind of a hole in your story there. If they come to you, why did Aegis fly away from you? Why isn't he here?
Is special. Aegis is on a quest. When completed, I'll be reconnected. Aetheric Night. There, Aetheric Night. Aegis is the greatest of my disciples. But I am just a messenger, shepherd.
What you're speaking of is impossible, she says.
Yet, somewhere, you know it to be true. You can almost feel this sort of fungal telepathy sort of worming its way through your mind, and basically it's kind of like tapped it's an organic way of tapping into a nexus in essence. And you can tell, you specifically, Ori and even Humbet, you can tell that Elro has stumbled across not only the hole, but the fact that recently you've sensed something. You know it to be true. You don't have to believe something for it to be true. But I suppose you want to try and stop him, don't you?
I mean, yes. This isn't the natural order of things. Once a nexus is made, it's only broken in death. This is something else.
It just has to be on the fritz or something. We gotta go get it and bring it back so I can figure out what's wrong.
Exactly.
I will tell you where Aegis has gone.
Oh, that'd be great, actually. Thank you.
Meanwhile, I was like, that would be great, actually. Thank you.
But know this. Aegis will stop at nothing to complete his mission. You will not stand it.
We're not trying to stop him from completing his mission. We just want to make sure everything's okay. You didn't see our ship, the way he ripped it apart when he left. He left in a hurry. It's like it was an emergency. We just want to make sure everything's okay.
You were torn from your dragoon. Do not be desperate to be reunited with.
I would.
Would even walls, distance stop you?
Of course not.
Understand better than others.
Which way did he go? Just tell us so we can get the hell out of here.
You sense something changing in the aether tainted spores, or excuse me, the abyssal tainted spores, but you can't really quite pick up on it because you didn't have that full direct integration. However, Ori and Humbet, through the spores, Kelro shows you exactly where your destination is. You see on the far edge of the outer shards, the outer drifts, you see that there is a fragment called Arncrag. Arncrag is a blackened volcanic fragment riddled with magma flows. Is there where Aegis has gone, and the two of you know this, And once Humbit and Ori know this, it starts to filter through the fog of the spores to the rest of you in the Nexus. Aegis has gone to Arncrag. His mission is to forge a new weapon in the fires of the mountain.
All right. Are you going to stay here or move on with your flock?
This is my domain. The flock come to me. And if they are worthy to become disciples, send them. I have nowhere to. I will stay here unless you choose to strike me down.
He hasn't been like threatening this whole real conversation, has he?
He has done nothing other than basically just float there in a meditative stance with the cockpit open, and it's Calro that's been talking directly to you through the smoke.
Rifki, none of this conversation is out loud, of course, because we are all aware of each other's thoughts. Rifki is not torn. She thinks we should let him go.
Yeah, Ori agrees with you. Despite her brutal warframe here, she doesn't have the inclination of doing any harm to this guy. He seemed to be pretty cooperative, and ultimately probably harmless in the grand scheme of things.
I think you just hear, fine.
That's awesome. That's great. Jay, if you're talking, you're muted.
Thank you for that, because, yep, someone of us has to do it once in a while. Nyx basically puts his cannon away from on his back, looks at this knight, former knight. Nyx has question for you. How Prime and come back? How are they coming back together? So the disgraced knight's name again is, I'm sorry,
Kelro.
Kelro.
So he looks at Kelro. He's like, how is number one Prime coming back for Attis to search on quest?
I must admit, I do not answer for you. All I can tell you is that if I, Messiah, the lost rats, they are an etheric deity.
So you will not join them or reunite them. You are just leading them, is what you say.
My job is only shepherd the lost rats and help them find their purpose. If and when your Rattus becomes separated and severed, do the same for them. If your Rattus is destroyed, you'll find yourself Stone and a gift. Now, we'll find no salvation here. You see
Nyx then will look back at the rest of the group.
at this point, you see the posture shift just a little bit. Ori and Humbit, you feel the effects starting to leave you. The Magus frame sort of settles into what would be a standing stance. Kelro. Now, I believe a volcano awaits you. And the cockpit goes, and the frame, while the head sort of faces you all, the frame makes a 3/4 turn. The face lingers, the head lingers at you all for a moment. And then it turns, and Kelro and Doomspeaker turn their back on you all and begin to float towards the debris pile where you first saw them.
I think we gotta go to Arncraig.
Of course, yes. As soon as possible. Do we need rest? And
We can
I think-
rest on the way there, you know.
That would be pretty standard that you would get your respite aboard while you
While
were
we're- oh,
voyaging.
yeah.
On
Yep.
Blazing Fury, yeah.
all right. Yes, of course. Yes.
This feels like an appropriate point to have a Star Wars wipe. You all are aboard the Blazing Fury, and during this point, so offline, I awarded the Nexus here 5 AP from their previous adventure, their previous combat and session. So during respite, this is a mode of the game that functions like downtime. You're in a safe space. You have access to tools, resources, and time. You know you have to voyage for a few days travel to get where you're going. During this time, all of your resource dice restore if you had any that downgraded. Your energy is now reset to max. If you have any conditions on you, and this also includes any condition, I don't think I officially gave you a condition, but had you chosen to go into combat, Humbit and Ori, you would have been the equivalent of shaken because of the effects of the spores. So those conditions would be removed. And then there's a table that allows you to choose a single respite activity period. So you can choose to train, which gives you, if you have 6 AP at your disposal, you can choose another boon. You can forge. You can gain weapon or shield for 4 AP by forging it, or you can add a quality for 8 AP. You can tinker, which allows you to choose an augment for 12 AP, or unlock a second ability for 8 AP. You can dream, which gives you +1 to one of your aspects, stone, flux, aether, or hearth, for 10 AP, or you can bond, which is +1 energy for 2 AP, in addition to one other respite activity.
For the sake of our game, can we also choose to bank them away, or is it
Yep.
a use it or lose it type deal?
Nope. This, you will be awarded additional AP at the end of this session. Only because of the nature of this game, the fact that we're doing this, we're showcasing this system. I want to also point out a really cool aspect of this game that I may or may not be using. There is a type of foe called a nemesis. And in a longer campaign, it would be somebody that's repeatedly showing up that you're having to face off against. Whenever you take respite, they take respite. Whenever you gain AP, they gain NP. They get nemesis points. Whatever you get, they get. So it's a system that allows your foes, your long-running foe, your nemesis, to grow alongside the group. So you're never going to outgrow your nemesis. Which can create, the longer you play a game, it can create for a really unique sort of final encounter with a nemesis. So is anybody taking any of these respite activities, or you?
Yeah, I am. I'm taking. What was it again? It's the. I'm going to choose a second augment.
Okay.
For 8, and that's going to add. You want me to explain what I take, or just that I took something?
Yeah, I mean, if you want to share, go ahead.
Yeah. So I took the. So I originally had taken the battle analysis augment, and then the second tier of that is piercing gaze. When making a test to detect hidden targets, sense arcane phenomena, or navigate hazardous environments, you can roll your Nexus die to automatically succeed.
Nice.
Very nice.
I like to think that's the activity called Tinker. I like to think that in addition, while you guys are maybe talking and planning and doing so, I like to. So if in the cinematic way, I picture this as we see sort of a cutaway view of the Blazing Fury as it's passing slowly across the screen, and in sort of like a almost like a time lapse, we see your Nexus, the Aetheric Knights, tinkering on their Raddus and making adjustments, sleeping in their quarters, having conversations, having meals. So this is some of what you all are doing. Anybody else doing any of these activities?
Ori is simply bonding with her Raddus of Big Guy, just like, helping polish the armor and almost pampering the thing, just to help it out and cooing at it and like, oh, you did great out there, Big Guy, whispering to it, as she has it lifted up on one of those like. On like a holder for the frame, so that she can like get at the various angles and pull off bits of armor that are a bit scuffed and replace it with new ones, and definitely just giving the Big Guy a bit of a manicure,
Similarly, I think Rifki is specifically painting Stratus. In her previous life here, there was no need for him to be pretty. But in this like kind of time of crisis, Rifki is starting to notice the red peek through the paint where it's chipped, and she would love nothing more than to forget about her time with the Edict Eternal. So she is painting over specifically those chips and those like wear areas where you can see the red through.
Nix is. Go ahead, Nick.
No, you go ahead.
I was just gonna say, Nix is he's not gonna be doing anything right now. I'm gonna bank him. But yeah, he's just with his Raddus. They're with the Raddus, and they are just being there for everyone else.
Kin is gonna be with her Raddus, and the way that I imagine this, I'm gonna be using one of my frame abilities. It's called Alter Fate, where I get to roll on the Alter Fate table. It says, during respite, peer into the swirling chaos of possibility and glimpse portents, preparing yourself for possible outcomes. Roll on the Alter Fate table and gain the associated ability, which persists until your next respite. So,
Very cool.
The way that I imagine it is 2 of the 4 hands that the Omen has kind of sit like this, and that's where Kin sits, and she's kind of staring into the quote-unquote eye of Marana, her Omen, and I have to roll a d12 now.
Do it.
That is a 4, which is called Hope. As an action, an engaged or adjacent knight can immediately take a free as an activation. An engaged or adjacent knight can immediately take a free action, and then I roll my Nexus die.
Damn. That's great.
That's really cool.
Great.
I really like that. That's unique to the Omen frame.
Mm-hmm.
And
I was gonna say three frames have special tables for them.
yes, the Enigma, the Magus, and
The Omen.
That's really cool.
The Omen's the only one that gets the D12 Alter Fate table.
Yeah.
Which is really cool. It's interesting because it feels a lot like a variation of other systems that have like an augury or portents or something like that, where you can like pre-roll a D20 roll and replace any other D20 roll. No, this is really cool. I'm sure you'll have an opportunity to use that in this session.
Yes.
He can guarantee it. He'll make it happen because he's God.
That's why I said I
He
am
is.
sure. Not God. Hey God.
I trust you, Lord Jake.
Hold on, I gotta adjust my headphones. You're making my head way too big. So another aspect of this that we're not really, there's not enough time really, I think, in this to delve into, but there is a supplemental section of the rules that pertains specifically to skyships, where you all can crew the skyship. The skyship earns AP as well, and there are actually respite activities for skyships. Things like increasing aspects, choosing new components, etc. In this case, I think that's sort of represented by Admiral Grux and his crew. Those small skyships, skiffs that have been making repairs are much further along. The damage to Apparatus Bay 1 is nearly complete, at least functionally, if not aesthetically. Though I think it's very pointed when you all return to the Blazing Fury, because that hole was blasted out the side. The number one, so the each bay has like 01, 02, 03, sort of painted in these chipping paint in large numbers. Only about 3/4 of the one, or of the 0 is visible, and almost the entirety of the 1 has been completely replaced with these pieces. So it just says it's kind of like an incomplete, broken up in places 0 in that place, representing sort of the finality of that emptiness there. But also during this time, I think we almost see, I like to picture it, the Eskhara is this world that was completely scattered at its destruction from the center, molten sun, and you were traveling to the furthest reaches of the outer drifts, and we see some of these fragments, and some off in the distance where the bright light of the core sun, and then we see the Blazing Fury move momentarily across that sun, and we just see the sun sort of blotted out, light blasting from behind as the camera continues to pan around, and we see as Blazing Fury is arriving towards the volcanic remnants of Arncrag. Is there any conversations you all would like to have, or anything else you would like to do together before you make your descent?
I think Ori would be probably like wandering around after she's done her repairs and bonding with her Raddus, and like checking out probably a bit. You're installing a new gadget on your thing with your augment, and things that she's gonna like watch and like make a few comments and like, oh, like it's been a while since I've seen Blitzfiend and Blinkfiend in action. And just commenting on on this encounter we've had.
Yeah. And I'll just turn. Sorry. Floor has remained busy. And I just kind of like gesture, and you'll notice that the armor is very marked. Like it's very clear that I have been in several battles since we last saw each other.
I've been a bit retired since we last saw each other. Big guy hasn't really gotten much day in the sun. He was a bit happy to stretch his legs out in Cerium, but no, I'm glad that yours is still working well. I see that, you know, it's good seeing you again, is what I meant to say.
Yes, 4 is also happy to see 5. And I just turn. It's like very awkward.
Ori's been trying to get to Humbit. You know, years ago we didn't really speak much, and then I realized that Humbit's still just Humbit, even after all these years. And she shot her shot, and she'll turn back to the rest of the group, where we're like sitting and waiting for the rest of the journey to complete.
As you're like walking away, Humbit will like turn and look over his shoulder, and then quick turn back.
Rifki is working out a lot. Just, you know, tricep dips, push-ups, body resistance work mostly.
I think Kin would join you with that.
Amazing. Yes. Nothing better. Is there do we box? Is there sparring to something like that?
I imagine that. I also imagine at one point like Rifki goes, I bet I can bench you, and
100%.
So like she lays like as stiff as she can.
Yep,
so
yep. And Rifki acts like it's really heavy for a second, and then it's just like, oh man, Kin, what have you been eating? And then just kind of laughs and starts pretty effortlessly bench pressing you.
I was about to say, I know you're shitting me.
You haven't gained a pound. And like just and continues that way for a while.
At times, Admiral Grux wanders around, just kind of checks in on everybody, but for the most part, he stays out of your business. Things you definitely see as you guys are working out, or various of you are working on your apparatuses, etc. You see Admiral Grux just kind of walking and observing, like maybe in one scene somebody's got like a welder's helmet on and they're like welding components on, or like where Rifki is painting Stratus. We see up on a catwalk Admiral Grux just sort of leaning against the railing, and every time he's just got this look of satisfaction. This is a man who is happy to have the 6 back aboard the Blazing Fury.
Aww.
You can tell that he was feeling your absence as well, and to have everybody on. In fact, I think you all would know that for years Grux has operated the Blazing Fury as almost as a mercenary for hire. A mercenary. Sorry, mercenary. That's redundant. A mercenary. Sort of a Eskhara Uber, if you will.
Oh my god.
You know, just, hey, we know a Nexus needs transport from here to there somewhere. Then you know, he's the skyship captain that's called up to deal with that. So
you're not supposed to make me feel bad for him, and you are.
He most likely turned down a pretty lucrative contract when he had an opportunity to get you all aboard. But But this is just, yeah, he's a man
This
who's
is
happy to have
purely
everybody.
for the vibes.
Yeah, it's kind of like that old teacher. You were the favorite class, and you guys are all back for the reunion, and they're just happy to see everybody, and it feels like old times, and it's a reunion all around.
I love it.
You can tip him an ember shale. So eventually, the Blazing Fury finds itself in the high in the sky above Arncrag. And looking down, you see a blighted, blackened fragment that is noticeable in particular. This fragment is occupied by a large volcano. There's a lot of smaller volcanoes, but there is a massive volcano sort of in off center. And you can see that it's, while not fully erupting, it's definitely active. There's fissures where magma is flowing down. But this fragment also has multiple satellites of cooled magma, like little pebbles that have sort of are beginning to form rings around it. And you can even watch around the rim of Arncrag at places where the magma flows reach the edge and they drift off into space. If you've ever watched underwater volcano or magma when it collides with the sea, this is what's happening. As soon as it leaves Arncrag and makes contact with the coldness of space, they form into these sort of drifting pieces that just eventually find their way into this orbiting mass that is starting to form into a ring around Arncrag, which Admiral Grux is careful to maneuver the skyship around some of this stuff and into a place high in the sky to position you to best be able to drop down to the surface. I think as we see this sort of moving, again, we see the Blazing Fury moving into position. The camera pans down quickly, and we see the 5 of you on the surface. You are standing, your radices stand in, the weight of them probably causes them to sink maybe a half a foot or so. It's kind of like being in beach sand, but if that beach sand were ash and crumbled volcanic rock, and all around you, you can see these sort of lava fields that have cooled into that kind of black rippling. Now that you're down on the surface, though, there's lots of areas where these mountainous and cliff-like structures that look like places where the magma has just sort of stacked up on top of itself, or other volcanic activity has caused through the volcanic rock. Something has pushed up looking like fingers of stone. And as you look around, you see signs of life on even this desolate fragment. You see in various places, you can see the particularly where these jagged pieces of stone, this craggy rock, you see crag crawlers, these insect-like creatures that skitter in and around, and you realize you'll see what looks almost like a pumice stone, all these little like pockmarks and holes. And for several moments, you'll see this sort of smooth looking structure of rock sticking up in all these little holes. Then all of a sudden the surface seems to come alive as a nearby surge steam vent, it activates, and out of hundreds of holes, crag crawlers go skitter across the surface before returning into their holes. You see on a field of mostly smooth, cooled lava, in areas where there's drifts of ash. You see that there are some kin at this distance. It's hard to tell, but are shepherding herds of Ironox. And I think of particular note to kin, on the outskirts of where the Ironox are, you would see there's a small pack of about a half a dozen Ashen Maw, Ember Hounds.
Ooh.
They're keeping their distance, but they're looking for an opportunity to strike at the Ironox. This is, while Desolate is a planet or a fragment that has some activity to it.
I imagine my own Ember Hound seeing all these other ones kind of gets wiggly and excited.
Oh, yeah. Gotta take it to the Ember Hound Park once in a while, you know, let it get socialized.
Listen, we live on a farm. She gets to go all over.
What more could she want?
The intel, the information that you got from Kelro, and additional, actually, I rather than just give you this, I guess I should ask for some tests.
Yay!
Let's have some Aether tests to see what kind of knowledge you were able to pull up. So I want to do this as I guess like a group check. We'll see how many successes we get. You got a pass.
I have a success. I have a pass.
Ori gets a failure on this one.
Okay.
I also failed
The
this
irony of Ori getting the failure on the knowledge checks gets me every time. Ori doesn't know everything. Ori's knowledge is very specific. So
Failed.
we got to fail. Sorry, who all passed? Let's do that. Thumbs up if you passed. Okay. So you were able to, the best you were able to tell in figuring out what would be the most likely area to find Aegis based on what you learned and what you already know is probably in the vicinity of that large volcano that is also called Arncrag. It is the volcano is how the fragment got its name. You weren't able to kind of isolate any further information. It's just most likely that if you're going to find Aegis, and if he is attempting to forge a new weapon in the fires of a volcano, why not go for the biggest and the baddest one? Is there anything? Not anything. What do you want to do? Do you want to talk to people? Where do you want to go, or do you just want to make a beeline for where you think Aegis?
I think we should approach cautiously. You say, everyone? Just to make sure that we're not drawing attention to ourselves.
So I'll do the best I can, she says as she's like trudging through this magma, this like molten rock.
Makes a hand gesture and just destroys like a stalagmite.
Yeah.
I'll be as careful. Boom.
Yeah, I gotta call
She
out.
wheels around like, what did you say? Like smashing, a pile of rocks. Yeah.
Call out something Dwight said in the side chat because it was almost like Carrie was speaking in a foreign language.
Yeah, something came over me. It's
a character
strange...
says to approach cautiously. This is so unlike Carrie.
I feel like we should not kick any doors in. No door kicking.
I like that Jay laughs loudest. Jay also DMs for Carrie a lot.
We all know each other here. I am not that person.
We rib you out of love.
Yeah.
Acting? Yeah, right.
Role
right.
playing.
Vi just said this is evil Carrie. It's just like a bizarro. Like everything's opposite.
Ah. Nix will remind the group that he has his when it's needed, you need to be around him for his shielding, because he is the shield, and he has his energy shield, which may or may not limit that cannon that the Apparatus uses, though.
Yeah, I will stay near Hivekeeper.
Yeah, we could just
Three,
enter
that's fine.
formation then.
Mhm.
Kind of in the front.
We'll have big guy in the front because she's probably the slowest,
Mm.
so she doesn't trail behind.
It's fair.
Alrighty. Yeah, just we do this, right? We do this. And you hear the clicks before and after.
Yeah, we're doing it. We just gotta, do it at the right time, in the right way.
What?
We gotta wait.
Just one foot in front of the other. Don't lose yourself, Rifki. One foot in front of
Yes.
the other.
Yes.
We talk to first, or we shoot first.
We talk. Nix, we've talked about this. We never shoot first. We don't shoot first.
Sometimes
We-
4 does.
See-
Oh my god. I know you both do. That's the point. That's why we have to keep having the talk. We don't shoot first.
Nix needs clarification. Always ask for clarification because situations always change with 4.
Yes.
Is it weird for any others? Like, that's Aegis in there. That's the Raddus of number 1. I don't know if I can. It'll be weird seeing it. That's for sure.
Yes,
I
it will.
just last time I saw Aegis, wow.
Imagine flashes, like
Yeah.
boom, 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 images come across all of our consciousnesses.
I don't know if I'm ready to see him again.
I don't think you can ever really be ready for something like this. It's a pretty unique situation. You know,
And we don't exactly get a choice in the matter, so.
It's
Even
true.
Aegis firing on us. Aegis has always been our bulwark. It just feels so wrong.
that's why we have to find out what's going on.
Yeah, one foot in front of the other.
One foot in front of the other.
Remember, Prime number 1's not with him.
No,
Them. So they broken.
I've spent time on Aegis. Number 1 asked me to help out with some diagnostics. Remember that time down in that gulf when the explosion happened? Aegis's arm kind of went on the fritz. I was there. I put him back together. I always am the one to put Aegis back together, and I just
Nix
don't know.
has always admired Aegis and
too.
Prime.
Me too.
And then that's when you notice the cannon is kind of similar to Aegis's weapon.
Oh, wow.
He's been tinkering with his weapon since he's been back.
Been fanboying so hard over Aegis's weapon.
Yes.
Dude, I want mine to be just like that. I'm gonna make it look exactly the same.
Maybe bringing up, because when Prime passed, and you get the feeling when Prime, with that situation, as a tribute to bring back, he kind of played with the cannon, modified his cannon, augmented his cannon to be like Aegis.
That's so cool. That's so awesome.
Groovy. As you
I would lean to big guy and to Ori, and I would just say, whatever happens, we're all here for each other. Everything will be fine.
as you
I'm
say
just-
that specifically, we're all here
Ooh.
for each other. You all feel the ground rumble. And you see a large, violent, not massive, like a full-on eruption, but there's definitely a large amount of activity at the peak of the Arncrag volcano. And at the same time that happens, I want everybody to make a hearth.
Oof.
Ooh. Okay.
Ori's got lots of hearth. She succeeds.
I succeed as well.
Ooh, I got a 1, which is like triumph, right?
Ooh,
Yes.
Yeah.
Which, okay, did anybody fail?
No.
Wow.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So
We are together. We are one. We are Nexus.
Mhm. We're in this together as we all
So-
pass our hearth tests.
We are the 6.
go ahead
The
and
dice
roll
gods.
a d10 on the triumph table, Gary.
Triumph table. I got a 10.
So we already discussed in the last session how the triumph and despair table is not tuned for out of combat. But I'm not going to let a one of the rare, at least for us so far, hearth tests to have a triumph and not use the table. So this is going to be, you're banking this to
Okay.
use in the next battle. You can activate your Nexus Surge at will. Once. At will. That's what a 10 is activate a Nexus Surge.
Oh, that's
So-
awesome.
At your discretion, you can choose to do that for free, because of that triumph. And the reason it's
That's
so
badass.
impactful, and none of you suffer any negative effects, but at the same time of this sort of mid-level volcanic eruption, that void in your nexus pings to life, and for only 3 seconds, all of you hear and feel the scream that number one let out in their moment of being severed and lost.
Oh, God.
And that's where we're going to go ahead and take a break. It's a couple minutes early.
I thought, what?
Fuck
Congratulations, you succeeded as well
did.
as you could possibly succeed.
Oh.
Now
That's-
there's a scream, death scream of your beloved leader.
Think what would have happened if you had failed.
God damn.
I don't want to know.
Straight
So-
to jail.
So, an anecdote before we go to break.
Wow.
I was reading through a bunch of the foes. I'm just reading through all of the foes. They're amazing. You start to see the patterns and how the guys built the system. And it makes it's surprisingly easy once you understand the foe system to build your own foes. There's a pattern based on threat level to the
cool.
hit points, to the mods. The mod system is genius. A lot of that stuff. But there was one type of foe that I completely misread, and I was still going to use it against you. The foe is one of the Guardians, I think. I forget what they're called. But it's an assassin that the feature reads that this foe makes an attack. It's called Eliminate, I think. But it makes an attack, and it does damage at the that equals the foe's remaining energy, and then eliminate the foe. I misread that to mean it does whatever damage you have left, you take, and then you are killed. You are, because it was called an assassin. And I was like, this is like way OP. I love it.
Yeah.
And then I reread it, and it's whatever energy that the
What a
foe
great
has,
plan for session 2. Oh.
whatever energy the foe has remaining. It's basically just sort of a Hail Mary attack that it can do. It does
Nice.
all of its energy worth of damage, and then it's gone.
Oof.
But I was like, man, this is a powerful enemy, and I can kill one of you outright. So I don't get to kill you outright, but
Oh, good.
we'll see
That's
what happens
nice.
in the second half.
We'll be fine. We're gonna be fine, everyone.
Also, when we get back from break, immediately I'll launch the Blazing Fury, and we'll do our giveaway. for a free digital copy. In the meantime, we are going to take about a 10-minute break. And please do stick around if you're hanging out with us in the chat. Let your friends know we got this game going on and we're giving away a free digital copy. Stick around. We'll be back in about 10 minutes. And we're back. And as I said, now that we're back, we're going to do a giveaway, of course.
Yay.
Signified by the arrival of the Blazing Fury.
Yeah,
I'm gonna don't type join just yet. I'm gonna fire off this raffle. This will go for about 10 minutes. This is a chance for you to win your own digital copy of Aether Nexus fantasy mecha role-playing game. That is live now for the next 10 minutes. So jump in on that. All right. You all are making your approach toward Arncrag volcano. Everybody go ahead and give me Aether test right off the bat.
Another, or no, this is Aether.
Yeah,
Okay.
this is Aether.
Ah, crap.
I failed.
I failed also.
Okay.
Pass.
We are the
Ori?
least Etheric Knights of all time.
Pass.
Oh!
Ori
Except by-
succeeds. Yeah. She
She's-
locked in. She's figured it out.
Sorry, the only one I didn't catch was wait, what did you get?
Pass.
Pass. So there's no penalty for those of you that failed, but enough of you passed that as you're traveling towards this volcano, you're starting to get a sense of this terrain, starting to understand it a little bit better. Ori, with your Sunderer, the Sunderer is a wrathful assault frame, and as we can see from the image next to you on screen, it is actually seems to be broader than it is tall. This is a massive mecha that easily the weight of for those of you that live in climates with winter, and I know Vi truly knows what I'm talking about here from the Great White North, when you have that real cold after snow's been sitting for a while and you get that sort of icy and snow mantle crusts across the top of the snow, you almost think it's going to hold your weight, and then you push through. You keep running into that. All of you run into it, or you discover it right off the bat that there are elements to this terrain that is crumbling that can represent a peril. You realize that there's something called and I think almost in a montage, like one of you that failed. Who was one of the ones that failed? So one of you discovers sort of like Buttercup discovering the lightning sand in the fire swamp. There is something here called flash ash. It is what was once deep pools of magma has now become, it's where all of this sort of shattered pieces of volcanic shale and ash have come together. It has a very thin surface and it looks almost identical to the rest of the magma around it. But when you step into it, because it has this sort of magma bowl, it's the combination of the very loose soil and the curvature that it threatens to pull you under. It's another peril. I think it goes without saying that with all the magma around, you all realize that you have to be careful, or you find yourself in the magma and you can be subjected to burning perils as well. So you're starting to get a really good sense of the terrain as you're heading towards the volcano. What are you doing to ready yourself? Are you what is it that you're specifically doing as you approach this location? I know you're looking for Aegis, but how are you going about your search?
I think Rifki would kind of just be like, like picking up visual scanning. Like, I mean, honestly, Rifki's just like looking around. She's looking skyward, I would think, almost feeling like maybe they're being watched, and she'd be looking for any sign of Aegis or any other smaller Radis that might be out looking on his behalf.
I would imagine that Blinkfeed is set up for some long distance tracking or scanning capabilities.
Yeah, I think like Ori's like trudging almost on all fours to get through this like a really dense ash and magma, and she'll call back to you, Humbit. Humbit, can you see an entrance anywhere?
Yeah, and I'll just be scanning, trying to see if I can spot anything that looks like it might be access.
Kin will as well, with my boon Eversight, which gives me favor on Aether tests to perceive, and I ignore the effects of obscured terrain.
Nice.
Nice.
So I would like what about Nyx and Hivekeeper? What
Just kind of going with the flow, just watching. I mean, just preparing.
going with the lava?
Mm-hmm. Trying to listen to the sounds. There's a rhythmic sound to them.
Where is the? All right, I was trying to find where it mentions obscured and those. Where is that?
That is on page 16. Oh, it's obscured. Oh, wait a second. Wrong one. Perils are on 16. Sorry.
Lost, broken, fallen. Does anybody know where that's at?
Not.
Let us not forget we have
Page 14, obscured.
page 14. You say?
Mm-hmm.
Jump to 14.
Yep. There's Skyborn, obscured, elevated, and
Thank you. That's what I
sheltered.
was looking. Exactly. Okay, so, it sounds like you're gonna make an Aether test. You said you do it fortified because of that,
Favored, yes.
or favored, but you ignore the obscured.
Yep.
So you're gonna be able to sort of see through the smoke and ash around the mountain in particular. Number 6, you are scanning skyward. So you'll be making an Aether test straight up. And I think it seems like number 4 and number 5 are kind of working together, so I'm gonna use that sort of like an aid. Dwight, number 4 can go ahead and make an Aether test favored as well.
No, that's going to be a fail.
Okay.
So, favored. If I still roll a 20 on a favored roll, does that still count as a?
I mean, no, it wouldn't, because you're taking. It's kind of like when
taking one off.
Yeah,
I wasn't sure if I was taking one off of my roll.
No,
or
favored.
is it a-
Favored is
Favored
your,
is advantage.
Favored
It's
is advantage. So you're rolling.
Oh,
two
it is
dice.
advantage. I thought it was. I was thinking
No.
it was the.
Favored, you're rolling
modifier.
2 dice and
Okay.
choosing the better result.
I got a pass by one number.
Still going to be a fail, but not a catastrophic.
Okay.
This time.
So you two failed. How did 6 do?
I missed what we're supposed to be rolling. I apologize.
You're rolling
roll?
Aether because you are scanning the
Right.
skies for trouble.
Yeah, I did not pass. I did not pass.
None of you passed.
No, I
No.
passed.
Oh, sorry.
I passed.
Nick's passed with a 1.
Ooh.
Oh,
That's triumphant.
okay. So what were you looking specifically? Are
Just in the front. I was looking where we're
you?
walking.
So you're
like, right in
basically
front,
watching for threats nearby.
relatively nearby, long range threats, so that I can actually get my shield up. If a long range threat comes in, I'm literally just, that's the goal.
Excellent, excellent. So, congratulations to D20. You've got instructions there, but congratulations to D20, our one of the friends of the domain, who has won a digital copy of Aether Nexus. So, two things in particular happen here. Actually, I would like you, since you did roll a triumph, go ahead and roll on the triumph table. Okay.
Right. D10.
That's a
correct?
D10.
Right. That's another 10. That's a 10.
You're going to get the same thing that 6 gets. You have a at-will Aether Nexus surge, or Nexus surge,
Okay.
available to
Hey.
you during whatever happens next. So,
Okay.
here is what the two of you see: two very different things. And this will roll us into the upcoming event. So, number 2, you are using what was the name of your ability that you were using?
The boon is called Eversight.
So, using your Eversight, what does that look like as you're scanning around the top of this mountain and able to see through the ash and smoke?
I imagine that the large cycloptic eye that is on Marana kind of glows this brighter tealish green color. It's almost like inside the apparatus, it kind of fixes the color to cancel out certain colors so that way she can see.
So what you see, and initially it's only you that sees it, but as that sort of vision, you comprehend it, the rest of the Nexus begins to comprehend this as well. You see at the peak of Arncrag, where you had seen this sort of moderate level eruption that's creating this ash and smoke, you see that the peak of Arncrag kind of rises up like this. I can think of no better way to explain it other than oh my gosh, I just lost its name, but you know what I'm talking about. The Eye of Sauron is there. The tower, Bardur, is that right? Bardur. Anyway, minus the Eye of Sauron. Instead, what you see in sort of the center of those peaks is you see hot lava just spilling out of this new fissure, but sort of splitting that. There's two rivulets of lava that are spilling downward. Standing on that stone in the middle of it, you see Aegis. And you see Aegis raise an arm holding that cannon that Nyx covets. And you watch as Aegis plunges its entire arm and the cannon into the flowing lava. Above Aegis, through the smoke, the ash, and now with the plummeting of that weapon and that fist into the volcano, the entire volcano begins to rumble further. There's another eruption behind Aegis, backlighting him completely in lava as the ash and smoke separates momentarily, and out of this lava eruption, you see an arc of lava move over top of Aegis, and you realize it's moving organically as a massive magma worm.
Oh God! Oh God!
Basically,
it's like Tremors.
it's an Aether Nexus dragon. And two things are happening right now as you prepare to roll for initiative. A magma worm is coming into the battlefield for you to fight. And
Oh my God!
the volcano is erupting, which means every round at the start of your turn, you will roll 1d4 and have to deal with a peril.
Oof. Okay.
So, we are going to be using, as I discussed with the players ahead of time, we are going to be using dynamic initiative, which means each round the players are going to roll initiative. It's pass or fail. If you succeed, you go before the magma worm. If you fail, you go after the magma worm. I would like from you, in your numerical order of the Nexus, starting with you, Sarah, to tell me pass or fail.
Pass.
Okay.
Sorry, remind me which dice were for initiative we're rolling.
Either Flux or Aether.
Sorry, it's
Flux or
it's
Ether.
Flux or
Got it.
Ether.
Flux or Ether.
My bad, I left that part out.
Yeah, I was like,
God,
I'm trying to remember
no.
going, wait a minute. Okay, there we go. That is going to be a fail.
Okay.
Shh, Nikes.
Okay.
Pass.
Fail for me.
Okay.
I failed and became depressed, or whatever the fuck it is, where you get a 20, and yeah. So I don't remember what it is. I think it started with a D. Despair.
Despaired.
Oh, oh! I thought it was depression. Anyway, okay.
Roll a d10.
Here we go. I got a nat 20.
No, roll a d10.
Oh, roll a d10. I'm
Yeah,
sorry. I thought you
got
said
a
what'd
despair.
You
You're
get.
rolling on the triumph.
I
and
thought you
despair
said
table.
what'd you get. I
No, sorry.
apologize. Okay. Jesus, I got a 10. I got a 10 on my triumph and a 10 on my despair.
Oh, this is not good,
This is-
Carrie.
Oh,
This is not good.
well, you know, you are God here, so you can
Stop
do
calling
whatever
me
you
that.
want. Okay.
You're giving me too much power and too much credit.
Just saying, you can do whatever you want.
Oh, I want to
Whatever
do
you want.
this. Don't get me wrong. I want to do this. It's just not good for you.
Oh,
So,
no.
I'm just trying to double check on the implications
She's got to get
of
back
this.
for the hop harvest, bro. She's got to fucking host Ori when they come out to the outer stretch or whatever the hell it's called. We got plans.
So here's the problem. A D10 on the despair table means you become severed. While severed,
Oh, no.
you cannot bolster or be bolstered. If you must roll your Nexus die while severed, you instead take 1d6 rupture damage. This condition will persist until the end of your next turn. So it's only for the first turn, but so severe is this eruption, the appearance of the worm, and the realization when you see what it's as almost, and I'll let you narrate this.
Okay.
I'll stop there. I want you to tell us
Okay.
at the start of this battle, what is it that affects you so much that you become severed from your Nexus temporarily?
Tell me if this does not align with what you mentioned. I think for just a second when this happens, it's almost like if you get hit in the head and all of a sudden you hear that like tinnitus squeal in your ears. And all of a sudden, Rifki and Stratus like feel empty and alone, and like it's so much, it's like crushing, like she can't breathe, and I would imagine part of the reason she is severed is the sight of Aegis up there. And I think in being severed, she might hear a communication from Aegis, or possibly you know who.
I think, yeah, I think in this moment at the start of the fight, you and only you, that section of your nexus where the void is, instead of it coming across for all of you in the nexus, it's so powerful it disconnects you momentarily. And what you hear for the first time in years, you hear number one's voice. And you hear, "Your mission is complete, Aegis. Return to me. We shall be whole again." And it is as crystal clear as it could be. And that is what knocks you. And you all suddenly realize at the start of this battle, though you suffer no mechanical effects from it, use that in your roleplay how you will. Number 6, at the start of this battle, has temporarily disconnected from the Nexus, has been severed. I do have one question I'm going to pose to the group here before we start with our rounds, because I didn't think about this. And when you have a single enemy, you're using dynamic initiative. How does that work? If you're rolling a before or after, my foe doesn't get to take multiple turns in one round, right? It's other things. Does anybody know the answer to that?
It makes sense to me.
So what's your question?
So okay, so right now, two of you
right now we
passed,
have, yeah,
and 3 of you failed. So
Yep.
the way this would go is that number 2 and number 4 get to go before. Oh wait, I see.
Yeah.
I'm looking at it on my sheet that I made as a cheat sheet as a first this one goes, then never mind.
Yeah.
I'm connected to the Nexus because I immediately understand what you're saying, Vi. The 3 that failed will go after my foe.
Yep.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I had a momentary overthink there.
I think you might have failed your ether check. With the natural 20
exactly. But I don't get to roll very often, so let's just see what happens. If I roll a 20, that'd be awesome. I didn't. So I didn't completely fail. It wasn't a despair. It wasn't. Okay, so in this case, it is both number 2 and number 4 that get to go before the magma worm. Now remember, you need to roll a d4 start of your turn.
I will.
Nope. Go ahead.
Nope. I'll start. D4 is a it's a 1.
Okay. So as the volcano erupts, several steam vents also erupt nearby all of you, causing hot magma to spew. I need you to make a hearth test.
Yep, that's a pass.
Okay, so you avoid maybe some just non-significant sort of spatter, just enough to burn the paint on your frame. What are you going to do on your turn?
Yep. So I will. You see a. Well, at first there's like a. Those of us that are still connected, you feel this. This glimpse of like a feeling of betrayal. As 6 disconnects, there's this feeling of not again, and it's fleeting. Because I would imagine this isn't the first time we've felt like a sever, like one of us becomes severed in the situation. So, but yeah, there's this flash of betrayal and just kind of an oh no, not again kind of thought. from Humbit. But then you see this, like on the head of the radish, you see this kind of almost like an eyepiece kind of slide in place. And I'll use my augment for battle analysis again. And I'm going to roll Aether and test for a weak point and mark the foe for the magma worm. And that is, what's it? That is Aether. Yep, that's a fail. So.
Okay. Just a note. Any of your aspect tests you make against the magma worm will be done at a +2 across the board.
Definitely a fail.
Yeah, across the board, just for simplification, and I'll remind you if necessary. But across the board, it's a +2 stone, flux, ether, or hearth.
Ugh.
Okay.
So that's gonna that's just one.
That's one action.
Yep. So and this thing is adjacent to us. Would be adjacent distance.
So
or is this
right
engaged?
now, actually, it is for the audience because I only told you guys. We're using an open, an open whatever it's called, with the ranges being
Span.
engaged, adjacent, or distant. Distant is aloft, where the worm currently is.
Okay.
And then every other span is adjacent to every other span for the purposes of this
Okay.
battlefield.
So then so then it's aloft at that point. Then I'm going to go ahead and just fire my caster at it.
Okay.
Which is going to be that's flux for ranged weapons, right?
Yep. +2.
+2. 9. That's a pass.
I need to check. Jumping all over. So when you are aloft, where? Anybody know where aloft is?
I think it was.
Is that on 14 as well?
Yeah, it's on 14. Actually, no.
Looking.
I'm just. It is on 17. Conditions aloft.
I went the other direction.
Yep.
So while aloft, range is increased. Foes in the span who are not aloft. Ignore opportune strikes, have favor against barrels, and can move freely in elevated terrain. I just wanted to see if while you were aloft, if that caused a hindrance while you were making. But so you missed.
No.
Or sorry, you hit.
Yeah,
You did
I hit.
damage.
So damage is going to be. Well, that's 4 points of energy damage.
Okay. Does your caster look like? What kind of weapon is this?
It's like think giant mech sniper rifle. It's got a big. Actually, no, It's got a scope on it, but that is 100% aesthetic. Because I would imagine the scope on this thing is all systems. But Humbit thinks it looks bitchin', so. But yeah, and it's just like you see like the barrel kind of like starts to glow, and as it pulses, then it fires a energy bolt.
I totally see this as we see the worm, and then the camera anime crashes in on Humbit and Blinkfiend. We see this weapon raise, and we actually see the camera sort of go inside the mechanisms of the caster, and as you pull the trigger, seeing all the energy and that glowing, and then as it explodes out the barrel, almost like we are the projectile launching towards the worm.
That's awesome.
So much anime in this. Excellent.
That's awesome.
So then number 2, roll a d4.
Awesome. Let's see. That's a 4.
So this is, I think this is particularly interesting for you.
Ooh.
Because as an omen and sort of the way you use your features, you're sort of tapped into this aether. The aether that you are tapping into for your abilities it's contaminated. Arncrag,
Ooh.
part of the reason for its heavy volcanic activity is it is said that there is a major portal to the abyss inside the mountain. So abyssal energy is tainting the aether on this fragment. And an abyssal vent has opened near you. I need you to test aether.
Oof.
Ooh. Awesome. And it's a +2, correct?
This is not against the worm, so no.
Okay.
This is
So
this
then
is
I
a peril.
pass.
You passed?
I pass.
So you managed to sort of sidestep that tainted energy. You sort of I have
It's
an idea of what it
spooky.
looks like, but what does that look like for you? On because this is sort of a cerebral, thing.
Mhm.
It's what does it look like?
I imagine that it's just after Kin and Marana feel this severance of 6, and it's just this flash where they see this like it's like the teal energy of the aether, but it has like this black tinge to it as this crack opens up right next to her. And the way that I imagine this is it's Marana kind of takes over and moves as if to protect Kin.
Yeah, I dig it. I see it almost like those extra limbs as you're starting to tap in. It's like the extra limbs sort of act of their own accord, and if the aether that you tap into were physical electrical connections, it's like it quickly disconnects the bad connection, stopping the bad data from getting in, and reconnects to a clean line, and you're able to operate without taking any sort of damage from this abyssal vent.
Awesome.
Take your turn.
Awesome.
Nice.
So she is going to pull out her longbow and go for the big bad worm. That's flux, and that's a +2.
Yep.
So I already have a +1, so that's +3, 7, 10. I pass because
Okay.
mine's a 12.
Nice.
And then a D10. Ah, that's a 10.
Oh,
Nice.
Nice. What a stud.
I got excited.
Is there any
sorry.
benefit
Let's
for
go.
doing max damage? I think we had this discussion yesterday. Or the other
I
day.
think we did have this
I
discussion.
think there was nothing, if I remember.
I don't think that's anything if you get a max damage. It's something if you get a critical
If you
on the
if you
attack.
rolled, if you get a 1, and in some cases there's boons or augments that'll allow for on a 1 or 2 that you crit, then you'll roll on the crit damage. Okay. So yeah, you strike with this. What is your anime attack moment look like?
Oh, it's this very smooth movement as one arm comes back and grabs this bow, and then it's instantaneous that the string is pulled back. There's no, closing of an eye. It's almost as if the pupil of this cycloptic eye brain pinpoints and waits for the perfect moment. And for a moment, it actually looks like Marana is taking a breath in. And the moment that it looks like it's breathing out, that arrow unleashes.
I picture, based on what you said, that there's no moment where, there's no drawing of the string. It's like you knock the arrow, and from the hand of the omen, the etheric energy just connects to the ends of the bow to create that energy to launch it, and this, when it hits the worm, you get it at that opportune moment as it's rotating and opens its soft belly to the attack, and this arrow is going to be embedded in it for the duration of the fight unless it breaks it off.
Hell yeah, dude.
So that's your attack. Anything else? That's one action.
Can I do 2 attacks?
You get 2 action. If you do 2 of the same action, you have to roll your Nexus die.
Okay. I gotta look at actions again.
So you can take a second attack if you want. It'll just cost you your
Yeah.
cost you a roll in your Nexus die.
But do
And you
I
might
want to do
you
that?
might get a Nexus Surge. You got a
Ooh.
1 out of 6 chance.
Why you gotta tempt me? Y'all are bad influences. You know
Yes,
what?
listen
That's
to
what's
them.
gonna happen.
Listen to
Y'all
them.
are
Do it.
bad
Do it.
influences.
Do it.
Kill
Do
it.
it.
Do it.
All right, go ahead and make another
Imagine-
attack.
That is a 1 on the die.
So a
It should be a
triumph.
+3.
So I just want to double check.
Was that a 1 on your attack?
Mm-hmm.
That's a
Oh, okay.
crit.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a crit.
I know it is.
So a couple things are going to happen here. So you're going to roll on the triumph table.
Okay. And that's a D10.
10.
That's a D10.
It's a 3.
Okay, so that's a 3, you said?
Mm-hmm.
On your next turn, you can take an extra action. You get 3 actions on your next turn.
Okay.
So the second thing that's going to happen is you're going to roll on the crit table. That's a D6.
That is also a 3.
The target is going to take double whatever damage.
Oh,
I'll leave it to you in this case, because doesn't look like it's really specified. It says double damage. You can either roll damage and double it, or you can roll your damage twice.
okay.
So you have to
I'll
decide before you roll.
I'll just roll the damage and double it.
Okay, sounds good.
We'll be nice and fair. That's another 10, so it takes 20.
Oh my gosh.
What does it look
we
like
have
when
another
this
hour
fucking
left.
worm gets destroyed before anybody else even looks at it? I am so
Suddenly
proud of you,
2 more
dude.
worms appear.
Bullshit. Bullshit. like the
I'll
opposite
tell you
of
what,
Deus
this
Ex
worm's
Machina.
about to get its own apparatus.
Nom nom.
There's got to be a term for that. The opposite of a Deus Ex Machina. What is it? Nerds.
So now I have to roll my Nexus die, which
Yes.
is a 6.
What is your Nexus die? Is a 6, or is that what you
Yeah.
rolled? Okay, so you're rolling.
That's I'm rolling it right now. It's a D6. I got a 4.
So for the next, all right. When you push
Only if you roll a 1, it drops down.
on a 1, it downgrades.
Okay.
If you roll max on your die, that's when it downgrades and you get a surge activated.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay. So that is now the end of your turn. It is now the magma worm's turn. As it is currently aloft, it is it is going to do an activation. As it flies overhead, as one of its actions, it activates, and you see that arrow that number 2 launched firmly into it. You watch as that arrow falls at your feet, Kin and Marana, as it's pushed out and the wound is partially healed. I'm going to roll on screen. It is regenerating 6 energy.
Wow.
So that's going to put it there. And then, so that's 1. And then it is going to... It is going to whip around, and it is going to target... I think it's going to target number 2, since you did the most damage to it. It is going to attempt a crushing bite.
Ooh.
I
This should
need
be
you
fun.
to make a stone test +2.
Stone test. And I already have a +2 to stone. Oh, this won't be fun at all. So, I passed. Oh,
Nice.
I got a 5. So in total, it's a 9.
So there's
Oh my
this
God.
moment as it comes in with these massive teeth that you're able to just dodge out of the way as the teeth right where you were a moment
Ooh.
before. Oh. Because this is an elite foe, it gets to make 2 strikes.
Ooh.
So it is going to, as it passes by, it is going to whip its tail through your nexus, and it is going to attempt to strike at, I think because the tail whip feels very organic, we're going to randomly determine
No.
that is a jack die. That's either a jack
That
die or
is-
it's both 4 and 6. We're going to call that a jack die. I've never seen a digital jacked die on this.
Yeah, that's weird.
I'm
So,
glad it can
well,
happen.
so
Oh.
Humbit and Blink Fiend are going to get attacked with this tail strike, and then this is 4 and 6 anyway. We should just listen to the dice. So I need each of you to make a flux test at +2.
It's a 4. Good.
Okay. Is that what you rolled?
Oh, you're no. Sorry.
Sorry,
I
you're
think-
also,
okay.
you're
I
holding up
apologize.
one finger like you rolled a
No,
triumph.
I knew. I was waiting. I apologize. God, I'm severed. This is why this has happened. Despair again.
Oh my gosh,
Nat 20.
Carrie.
I've never rolled this well for another game, but not this one.
Okay, so
Classic.
first off,
Listen, I get it.
you are going to take
Mm.
5 points of energy damage.
Oh,
You are
God.
staggered, and I need you
help.
to roll a despair die.
Don't forget you can block some of that
Yes,
damage with your armor.
You can use your armor to try to.
I will be
block that.
blocking some of that real quick first. I blocked 4 of that, so that is I'm only down to 1
So,
loss.
yeah, you're going to take
technically.
1 energy damage.
Okay, and now my other bullshit die. Despair die. That's a 1. Just the least despair.
The next test you take is at a hindrance.
Oh, okay. That's
Compared to everything else, that's like the least of
that's
your
like that's a
worries.
delight. That's like effing Christmas.
Okay.
Okay.
So, that is the magma worm. Now, because it entered your all's space, you are considered engaged. It's in the engaged range.
We are engaged.
Actually,
Sick.
is
That's
it
great.
still aloft or is it
I mean,
down?
It's technical. It's
Its head is
technically
aloft, its
it's
body-
technically aloft, but it's engaged with all of you.
Because the
I
reason why I
assume
say
you're-
in the rules it says an aloft creature when it becomes in your same span, engaged span, it technically is an adjacent because it has the aloft condition.
Thank you for that, because I was just making a quick
makes
call,
sense.
but that makes
So-
sense that it's
so
directly
it's
above you,
still-
so it's considered
yeah.
adjacent.
It's even though it's in your same span, adjacent span, no, but because it's in the aloft section, it's classified as adjusted.
Yeah,
according to the
I see that
rules.
now. Thank you. That makes sense. That's on the conditions for a loft, so it is considered adjacent for the purpose of what you're doing. Number 3, 5, and 6. It is your turn.
I imagine like as the magma worm comes swooping down, biting and lashing the tail at Humbit, I think this is when Ori has big guy like lumber after it and try to grab onto its tail,
Oh my God.
and try to like stagger this thing.
Before you do
so I know
that,
that you said that
before
it's
you
like
do
the
that,
loft and stuff.
I need you to do a 1d4.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, I rolled a 4 on my d4.
Okay. So I need you to make an Aether test. As you are attempting to do this, these same abyssal vents are cracking around you.
It's going to be a pass. I got a 10 when I'm...
Okay, so you will not
I'll do the
take any
12.
damage from that and will not be hindered by that. As you continue to attempt your action, what are you doing?
Yeah, so, okay. So what I want to do is I want to have big guy run after the Magmorm, grab it by its tail, so I can use my Stagger Strike ability. But you said that it's aloft and therefore adjacent and not engaged.
Correct.
Could I say that I use one of my actions to like chase after it, and then my second action is to use the Stagger Strike on it?
Yeah, it's basically like a maneuver, and it would be you're essentially trying to jump up and grab hold of this thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And if you succeed, you will basically you'll stagger it. So
Yeah. Okay.
so yeah, you'll
So
make
I'm
what is that, stone test?
So yeah, I'm using my Stagger Strike ability, which is testing stone to deal damage and stagger.
Okay, plus 2.
So I'm at a +2 because of its eliteness. That's still a pass. So I'm going to deal 1d8 plus 1d6. So that's going to be 10 points of damage, and it is staggered, which means it only gets one action on its next turn.
Correction. It takes one fewer actions.
Oh,
on its
sorry,
next
one
turn.
fewer. Yes. No, while staggered, you can only take a single action on your turn. Interesting.
Where do you see that?
That is, I see that on page 18.
I'm reading staggered. While staggered, you take one fewer action on your turn.
Oh, maybe I have an older version of the PDF.
You might, yeah, they did
Okay.
just release an update on
Okay.
Thursday or Friday,
Cool,
so
cool,
that
cool.
might be one of the things that they buffed or changed.
Okay. Regardless, it is now one fewer actions. My Nexus die didn't do any kaboomies, so we're good on that one.
Yay.
So it was an action to maneuver up to it, and an action to Stagger Strike. So that
Yeah.
is my turn.
Any anime embellishments to what this looks like?
Yeah. So the anime embellishment of this is it's swooping by, it lashes Humber with its tail. Big Eye lunges forward, like this, almost like not brachiating, but like gorilla, like running after it with these massive claws. Leaps, jumps, grabs the tail, and with its great weight, I think it like smashes into the ground.
Oh my god.
It smashes into the volcanic soil before the magma worm is able to like rip its tail out of my grasp and become freed again. But it's staggered from this massive impact that I do to it.
And we see that as Big Guy grabs hold of the tail, we see the magma worm sort of swim flying towards the camera and then pulled up short. And when it crashes, its head is right in front of the camera, and we can see as the camera goes shing to Big Guy holding onto that tail. Just
That's
if it had
awesome.
rippling muscles, they would, or had muscles, they would be rippling at this point.
That is so cool.
I
Yeah,
love
and I
this
think, like-
part. I love riffing anime embellishments with you guys.
I'm holding back the Megavorm's tail, like digging my max feet into the soil, and like over the Nexus, Ori's like, "This is your chance, come on! I can only hold it for a few seconds longer," and she's like trying to hold it back to let the next person go, which I believe is number 3, right?
It should be.
Well, who else is
Or is it-
left?
It's you
Me.
and Carrie, but I think Carrie's.
I think it makes most narrative sense for you to go first since you're
Yeah.
still attached.
Yeah.
Yeah, Carrie can't hear anything I'm saying because you're severed.
I don't know what I like. Yeah, it's not. It's
Yeah,
weird.
I gotta
So-
imagine it's weird only being able to visually see what's happening.
So,
Yeah.
question. I know that. So this might be meta. And if it is, let me know. On Carrie's turn, all her severed and all her conditions are gone,
At
correct?
the end of.
At the end of her turn.
hmm
Okay.
I haven't.
then
I
the-
haven't had a turn yet in this.
So,
condition.
okay. So basically, it's at the end of your turn. Okay. With that being said, then I know exactly what I'm doing. So as my first action. I am going to. I'm using my Nexus Surge, gathering the swarm. Each adjacent knight may immediately move to your span, but we're all in the same span. Then each of you gets 1d4 energy back. You lose shaken, shattered, and severed conditions.
Dope.
Was staggered in that bunch or no?
Shaken, staggered, and severed.
Oh my
Condition.
god.
Before
All of them go.
Holy crap. What a
changes my
use
plan. Oh my god, I need
what
to
a
read.
use of the
This
Nexus
is-
Surge.
This is him. This is what he does, or they do. They're the glue. They're the front line, and they pull
glue.
everyone and heal. So yeah, everyone gets 1d4 points of energy back,
Oh my god.
and then you lose the shaken, staggered, and severed conditions. All gone. As this energy suddenly
so big for me.
So Nexus, they just kind of like hunker down, and you hear the feet just go boom, 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 as this welling of energy just kind of comes in, and strandles of webs of just shoot out to everyone and just attach to everyone. But even though if you were further, it would pull you in. But since everyone's in the same span, you suddenly just feel this energy along the strands of webbing to you, and they just energize you, and just it's like boom, and you just get this electric like energy pulse into your radas and into you.
My embellishment or riff to that is, as these strands connect to each one of you, as they go spread out to each person in the Nexus, we see that energy connect to number 2, and sort of that we see number 3, and then all of a sudden that number 2 appears, and then as it connects to number 5 and number 4, we see that sort of split screen, and finally that last one, we just take a little bit longer, the energy, and as it connects to Rifki and Stratus, it snaps into place, and we see that void for just a second, and then there's a surge of raw emotion and connection as you are no longer severed.
I'm no longer severed at all.
Well, that's what
Yeah.
it said.
Oh my
Before
god.
we
that
even
is-
got to see what happened while you were affected by it.
I was more focused on the shatter. That's sick. This is
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, you're not
Oh,
staggered.
oh,
You're
my
not
God.
severed.
And that's
You do-
everyone in that's engaged with me.
And that's
so
Wow.
just one. That was just an activation.
that was
right?
just an activation.
You still have one more action.
Wow.
I do. Unfortunately, I'm like waiting because of we're gonna do an attack. Since as Big Boy, is holding on to the, I am gonna do Ethereal Web, strike it. So basically, it's still adjacent. So I need to make an ether test, and it will take damage and root it bring it down to the ground. So let's see if I can make my ether test.
Nice.
I laughed because you called Big Guy Big Boy, and I still kind of like it.
I rolled a 2. I passed. I succeeded.
okay,
Nice.
So suddenly the webs come out at the worm, wrap around it, pull it down, and it takes 4 points of damage and is now rooted. Which means for an aloft creature, it loses the aloft effect.
So yeah, exactly. We see where Big Guy is holding on to the tail of this thing and trying to keep it down. Number 5 comes in and just starts web slinging and just pulls the rest of it completely down to the ground.
Sorry about that. I also was supposed to roll a D1.
You were supposed to roll a D4 at the beginning.
at the beginning of my turn, which is a 1. Sorry.
So I need you to make a hearth test as you're doing all of this at your feet. It's almost like the strength of connecting all these webs is causing your frame to kind of snap and crack the surface, and magma vents open at your feet.
And I failed, so I'm gonna take damage,
So-
aren't I?
As this happens, no matter with how awesome this was, I think this is going to make it
Yeah.
look cooler. But the magma starts lapping up out of these cracks at the feet of Hivekeeper, and you're going to take 3 damage, and this is ongoing. You will take fire or burning damage at the start of each of your turns.
Okay. So hilariously, as this fire damage hits, then the web and energy kind of goes out. I heal myself 3 energy.
Oh my god.
So it's the because of the Nexus surge, I also healed, and I'm like, so
You cannot kill me. You can only hope to contain me.
So that leaves Rifki and Stratus.
So one quick flavor thing. I think as you guys make connection again with Rifki, you would hear kind of like a burst of what sounds like her voice saying like, not alone, not alone, not alone, not alone. And then like, it's him, it's him, it's him. And then it would kind of like just brrr, just all these things, like all of her thoughts for the last like 5 minutes, all in like a second and a half. And then you hear a silence, and you just hear her say number 1. And then I think she's feeling this staggered, but then becoming bolstered by Nyx. I'm going to also use my Nexus Surge.
Roll me 1d4.
Okay.
We don't forget that.
3.
I want you to go ahead and use your Nexus Surge. Then I'm going to have you make the stone test for this.
Okay. So I am using my whatever it is. Yeah, Nexus Surge to do a thing called Spirit Link. And that is my cloven thing, and it says choose an engaged or adjacent knight. Until the end of your next turn, you and this knight can bolster each other without using an action. That is, you may roll against each other's aspects rather than your own. So I will choose to do that with Big Guy and Ori because they're almost exactly opposite of me. We're like perfect puzzle pieces. So I will do that as an action, or an activation rather. And then am I adjacent with this thing now via Nyx's
I need you to
pulling
make
us?
your stone test for the
number
you
okay.
rolled.
Yes.
As the
So you roll
ground,
against
as
Nyx?
you make this Nexus Surge,
I can.
as you make this Nexus Surge and connect, you feel just as you sort of step from that reeling from not being staggered anymore. You're at the edge of one of these flash ash pits, and it crumbles away. How did you do on stone?
Okay, this is like perfect because with my features, whatever it is, I would have failed. But because I am now linked to Ori, I pass. And so I think there's like, you see that scene where like Stratus like almost stumbles, but then like goes like, and then like some light comes on that seldom comes on, and then she just bursts out of the way, leaving a cloud of ash behind.
Excellent. Yeah, you avoid that falling into that flash ash bowl. It is go ahead and take your actions.
Amazing. So
Or action, I should say. 'Cause you did an
my
activation.
one action. So I'm still adjacent to the beast, right?
No, it's engaged now because it's rooted.
Oh,
Yes, it's engaged
engaged,
now because
rather.
he rooted it.
That is what I meant. I apologize. I just forgot the word. Okay, then I would like to make an attack at it, please.
Yeah.
Also with Ori's 15 stone.
Yep. You will be doing so at a +2.
I still pass.
Okay.
And I guess does Nexus Surge count as a maneuver perchance?
An activation,
Activate. Oh yeah.
I believe.
Okay. Yeah, no,
That's
you're
how
right.
I saw it as an activation.
Okay, so I'm rolling my damage die. Here I go. That's a 5 plus 1 because I have a legendary weapon as a boon. So I did 6 total damage.
Nice. All right.
And again, you just hear Rifki's like kind of frantic thoughts, like trying to get something important out to you guys and kind of reaching out to you.
In this moment, the Arncrag volcano continues to rumble and erupt. More lava spewing. Almost the entire cone of the top of Arncrag is now glowing this magma as lava is just spilling down the sides. And we see as Aegis at the top removes that plunged arm. And what was this coveted cannon by Nyx, as he draws it out, you see attached to the arm just lava, hot magma dripping down. But as he pulls it out, it hardens into an incredibly long blade forged of abyssal magma. And Aegis thrusts that sword up into the air. Lightning is arcing through the ash cloud. I mean, this Aegis in this moment becomes like He-Man. You can almost hear, I have the power! And in that moment, as the lightning strikes, that void in the Nexus for all of you snaps to full signal. And you all feel the presence of number 1, but it somehow feels distant. And you hear, hello, my old friends. Everybody roll initiative for the second and what will probably be final round of this battle. We'll start again with number 2.
That is a 1.
A triumph. All right. So that is a success. Go ahead and roll, and then after we get all the initiatives, I'll have you roll on the table. Looks like we got a pass for number 4, a pass for number 3.
Passed.
Pass for number 6.
And I passed because I got to roll on Rifki's flux value. And I would
So
have failed
all
otherwise.
of you are going to go before the magma worm. What did you roll on your triumph die there?
I rolled another 3.
Which, remind me, what was that?
That was take an extra action on your next turn.
There you go.
You get 4? Cool.
4 action.
That is gonna be, Jesus, you're like a
Cool.
monk.
Listen, we're in the end game of this session. So yeah, just stack those things.
Fuck yes.
Even if the rules said you can't, I'm the seer. According to Carrie, I'm God. I say you can do it.
Yeah.
You are God.
get to
Did I not
decide.
call you Lord Jake?
A benevolent deity.
Oh man. So you all get to go first. So how are you going? You guys decide what order you're going to attack in.
I think that Ori is just gonna, holding this thing, she's gonna try to like leverage it and just start like lifting up and smash, 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 smash.
Like the
4
Hulk
times.
and Loki.
Yeah, yeah. So she's gonna make 4 attacks, which will cause her to have to
Oh
use her
my
Nexus
God.
die to burst it out. But she gets 4 attacks here, using her stone. But the +2 because of the magma worm.
Roll a d4.
Oh, that's right. I have to roll a d4. I have to do all that first. I rolled a 2 on my d4.
So you're gonna make a flux test, because with this full eruption, the first of the massive molten rocks that were the top of this volcano are starting to fall around you, and a massive rock is coming right at you. So I need you to make flux to dodge this.
Yeah. Big Guy is not able to get out of the way. I think that Big Guy is a bit too focused on holding and pinning this magma worm, between it being rooted and staggered. Ori is going to take the full brunt of this.
You're going to take 4 points of damage, and you are
it-
staggered.
Is it flux damage, or is it regular? Sorry,
It's not rupture damage.
Not rupture damage. Okay, she's
No,
gonna
it's
block it
not
with
rupture
her-
because it's literally just an object that
Yeah.
was
Okay,
that hit you.
She blocks all of it with her armor. It literally like it lands on top of Big Guy, like, oh, and everyone's like, oh no, Big Guy just got squished by the giant boulder, and just shrugs it off. There's a bit of like dent or whatever, and I'll keep
I'm
going.
okay.
I see this big boulder that lands, and just you all think
Yeah.
Big Guy's crushed, and then you just see as it splits, and Big Guy's just standing there pushing the
Alright.
pieces aside. Now you can take
So
your turn.
I am staggered, however, from this, so I will not be smashing this magma worm 4 times.
Yeah, you can only do it
I'll only be
twice.
smashing it twice.
Wham,
I'll only
wham,
be
wham.
smashing it twice. So, and they're all gonna be at +2s, which means I get 2 passes.
Hey.
I beat my stone twice, so that's going to be that's 13, 14, 17 points of damage.
Oh my god.
But my Nexus die does go down 1 size, because I rolled a 1 on my Nexus die.
Mhm.
Okay.
So yeah. So I think between like the rock falling on her, like the sheer like strength required of her to like keep like a hold on this rooted, staggered magma worm, like the Nexus, the energy that she's drawing from the Nexus, like starting to like really tap out here, as Big Guy gets quite fatigued by this, and loses some of its Nexus connection. But she pushes on for next round anyways.
All right. Who's next?
I'll
Roll a
go.
I think
d4.
I was just okay. No, Dwight
No,
has
I-
something up his
I'm-
sleeve.
Yep.
I'm ready.
I rolled a 1 on my d4.
So you need to make a hearth test as more of the ground beneath you's cracking and more magma vents are opening.
That's a 2, so that'll be a pass.
So you avoid
right.
taking ongoing damage.
So as a maneuver, I'm going to use my Aether Step, which I basically just blink out into an adjacent span. And then I'm going to fire my sniper rifle caster at it again. Oh, I'm sorry. I get favor with that. So as a maneuver, move to an adjacent span, ignoring opportune strikes. Roll your next attack with favor, and I got to roll my Nexus die as well. So, which is, let's do that first here. Nexus die roll is, that's an 8. That's 8 on my D8.
Oh. So
Yep.
you immediately get wait. What does that one do?
So I
was thinking of armor.
downgrade and I get a Nexus Surge, correct?
Yes, that's what it is. You get your
So-
Nexus Surge and a downgrade.
All right, so then I rolled I got to roll favor here, so that's 2. Okay, so that's just a regular success. But the worm was rooted, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so I have a blink strike, which the first time you deal damage to a foe when dealing damage, first time you deal damage to a foe who's rooted, shaken, or staggered, roll your damage die twice. So we're gonna do that.
Ooh, nice.
Attaboy.
Teamwork makes
So
the dream work.
2,
It sure does.
That's 7 total points of energy damage from that. I like to see it's like we're gonna go anime here. So you see the dust clears from Big Eye just slamming this thing into the ground, and Blinkfield there's a flash as Blinkfield disappears. Camera zooms across to where the flash happens again. In the distance, zooms over. Blinkfield appears again with the caster trained on the worm, and fires 2 quick shots. And you see it's just like its first shot goes, zooms across, slow-mo explosion of energy at the worm. Quick zoom back, second shot goes, and then blink back to the second shot hitting and does 7 damage from that. And then my Nexus Surge.
Sorry, did you do 7 damage once or twice?
Once. That
Okay.
was I rolled my damage twice. I rolled my damage side twice.
Right.
So, yep, I rolled a 2 and a 5. So then that is going to be here. For my Nexus Surge, my Celestial. Nope, that's not me. That's not me. Where did I go here? There we go. Combined Assault. Choose an engaged knight. You each immediately make free attack with favor on the roll. On a success, you each automatically deal max damage. So, let's see. Big guy, you get to go again.
100%.
Yeah, I've got.
Mhm.
Yeah. So my ability lets me make it 2 attacks whenever I make an attack. So
Oh my god! Stacking.
so I will make 2 attacks here at possibly max damage if.
Okay, so
If
it's a
you pass.
success. It's automatically max damage. I
Okay.
passed. And you get to roll with favor. You have favor
Roll
as
with
well.
favor. So that's going to
So
be
I-
1 success, and then
I rolled
Another
success on my
success.
extra, so that's going to be 8 damage
Oh my
from my
God.
third shot.
okay. So doing 16, then 10 for 26.
Damage?
Yes.
Jesus.
There's a reason we're called 6. We work well.
This is
Oh,
just
sorry. It'd be 2 less. Sorry, it's only a D4 now. So
Okay.
it'd be 24 damage.
Oh, only 24. What
No,
Only
there's
24.
Plus my 8.
teamwork makes the dream work. You guys pulled this thing down and you're just bam, 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 bam all over the place on this thing.
Ground and pound, bitches! You hear Rifki through your minds.
All right. Did you take you took your extra attack? You said because that was
Yeah,
the 8 damage.
8 damage. It's like Big Guy just slams this thing around, like stops for a brief second. Blink Fiend, flies away or apparates away, shoots twice, goes all glowy, shoots a third time, and then Big Guy just goes right back to slamming. So
It just
After
feels.
the, after the
Go ahead.
after the few attacks that I do here, we see Ori inside the cockpit of the mech. She's breathing. She's panting. She's like, "Is this thing still moving?"
This, I just picture
I
this.
can't tell!
I
Hold
picture
it
this
still.
from the MCU when the Hulk has Loki and it's just
Wham,
bam,
wham,
bam,
wham,
bam,
wham,
bam,
wham.
bam. Puny God. Except instead it's Ori. Is this thing still moving?
And you hear
Is it
Rifki
dead
go,
yet?
I don't know, hold it still. And then when Ori does, that's when I would like to do my attack.
Go for it.
I am going to go ahead and just try to hit him with my sword. And that is, and this is my last turn that I get to use Ori's stats, or Big Guy's stats. So it's gonna be.
Did you roll
and I
another
still
despair?
Somehow, no, I just failed.
Okay. You're like, no, I did not despair again.
No, everything's fine. Everything's fine. I think somehow the thing gives a guttural twitch and Stratus misses. And then I think in frustration, I am going to project flame, which is as a strike, I get to deal 1d4 ongoing damage to each of up to 3 engaged foes, but we got 1 right now, so that's fine. And if I roll max damage, your current span also gains the burning peril. Roll a Nexus die. Oh, wait a minute. Maybe I don't want to do that then. I don't want everybody in my
So
span.
I'm just going to tell you this because
Yeah.
why not? This is a magma worm. It
Oh,
is
and he won't be-
immune to the burning
Oh,
peril.
Fuck! Okay, well then,
In this
instead
case,
of that,
fighting
I'm
fire
gonna-
with fire does nothing.
Guess what?
I
gonna
imagine
hit him
you
again.
probably get
Also-
you get your flamethrower ready, and Ori's
Yeah.
like, "Are you sure about that?"
Before you do this,
You can certainly try.
before you push and take a second attack and have to roll your Nexus die, I need you to roll your 1d4.
Oh. Okay. Oh, yeah. 3 again.
Yeah, go ahead and make a stone test against another flash ash pit.
Okay. That passes because thanks God again for Big Guy.
And the visual here is that with the eruption happening, the ground is cracking open, magma vents and abyssal vents and these ash pits. They're all just opening up all around you. As you go ahead, take a second attack and then roll your Nexus die.
Yep, here's my attack. That actually succeeds. Awesome. And so I'm going to roll my d8. Here I go. Fuck. That's 3 points of damage
on
him. And then I have to roll my Nexus die.
You did the same action in the turn.
Oh
right?
yeah, I did. I am downgrading.
You rolled a 1?
I rolled an 8. I thought that was the
Oh.
bad one.
No, that's the good one. You
8 is the good
downgrade.
one?
You downgrade and you
downgrade.
surge.
I
Yes.
downgrade, but I surge. Oh, that was it.
Yep.
Okay. Oh, yes, motherfucker. Guess what?
Want to use my stats again?
Guess
for
who's
another
getting
round?
the stats again? Yay, besties! Yes, until the end of my next turn, which means, yep, Big Guy and Ori are going before me next time too. Let's rock and roll.
Okay. Who's left? So I think number 2, and then I think Jay wanted to go last, or 3 wanted to go last.
Okay, that works for me. So as my first action, she's going to do an interaction to switch out her bow for her sickles. So it's basically 2 arms go back to grab sickles, and the one arm holding the bow sets it back. And she is going to attack with her sickle.
D4.
Oh yes, I got a 2
Nope,
on my
yep.
D4.
Thank you. You also, as you're doing this, another piece of the volcanic debris is coming crashing down near you. You need to make a flux test.
I will do that really quick. I rolled a 2 for my attack. And that is I passed. That's a 4 on the die.
So yeah, you're able to completely dodge this.
Okay. So I rolled a 2. So for my hits, that should pass. For my stone, that is 8 damage there. And then I get 2 free actions.
Yeah, because of your
So I'm gonna
Triumphs.
roll to hit it again.
Do it up.
Okay, that hits because that's a 10 on the die.
And I'm going to rule, I don't know if it's spelled out, but because these are based on triumphs, you're doing the same thing. You do not need to roll a Nexus die.
Okay, I was gonna roll it to be fair.
I don't think you should. These are double triumphs.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
I think I'll allow. In this case, I'm gonna make the seer call that you do not need to roll Nexus.
Okay, that's 10 more, so 18 total so far. And then I'm gonna attack again. And I passed again. I'm sorry, Jay.
Don't apologize.
I am so proud of you.
No,
I'm
no,
so
no,
proud
don't
of
be,
you.
because I have
Kill his
something
monster.
completely planned that's not separate. So
Another
please.
10 for 28.
Awesome.
God damn. Kill him. Kill him.
Okay. Uncharacteristically, Jin and Marana are a flurry of that, or maybe it is characteristic. Maybe this happens in your battles. Whatever the case, there's just this amazing flurry of action coming from the Omen. As number 3 is up with a 1d4 roll first.
So, so I do, because I have ongoing damage. So that, because of the fire.
Well, yes, you're
so
gonna
that's
take.
going-
You're gonna take the ongoing damage.
Okay, and then an
You
additional
take
roll.
2. You take 2 more.
Okay, so I
Um,
take 2 points of damage. All right.
Yep.
Got it.
and then
all
you
right,
roll a
so-
d4 for the start of this turn.
I rolled a 3.
That is the flash ash pit. So you need to make a stone test.
Okay, stone is my best thing.
Nice.
Oh shit.
That should be the next MTD t-shirt. MTD. Oh shit.
That is despair.
Oh no! So
Welcome to the club.
So you take
He's gonna taunt us.
You're gonna
taunt
take
us so good.
another d4 damage on top. So
All right,
that's
bring it.
3 more damage.
Oh,
And as you slip into the flash ash pit, you are now rooted. You slip in
which
it
is fine.
up to your waist.
Fine.
And I need you to roll a d10 on the despair table.
All right, the despair table is a 5. Okay,
You get no attacks on your next turn.
that's fine. That's fine. I'm completely okay with
He's
that.
completely
That-
okay with no attacks on his next turn.
because my plan, there's a plan.
Okay.
And that roots into that plan. So
Ain't gonna be no next turn.
All right, so now it's my turn. Actions, correct?
Yep.
I don't like to move. So my first is an activation. And I'm activating my basically my augment glimmer barrier. So suddenly the tower shields and arms just come together and there's this energy barrier that is between us and Radis, where he's at on the top. So it's kind of protecting if he's going to do any ranged weapons or anything like that. We've got a shield up protecting us. And basically two of us that are going to be there is going to be also protected. On my second, I'm actually going to do an additional activation, so I will have to roll my Nexus dice. But I'm activating my mites. So basically the spiders on me are all going to start swarming, and they start swarming around my cannon. And I have to basically, you grant yourself a swarm and a legendary dice. So I basically get to roll a d4 and add defense or damage to that weapon.
Oh my god.
And I rolled 3 points. So the next time I want to fire my cannon, which is not going to be next round, I have legendary dice on it to be able to activate it, if I'm reading that correctly.
Okay.
But I can't use it just right away. But now I have to roll Nexus because I did 2 actions in a row, or two the same action, which I rolled a 10 on. So I downgrade my dice roll, my Nexus dice,
surge.
but I get my Nexus surge.
Oh my god.
Okay.
Oh my god.
And that's all I'm doing this round.
So what's your Nexus
pretty-
surge?
Is the grant? Well, I just did it, which is the grant the swarm. So then when I'm not going to activate it now. It just comes in.
I don't think you have a choice.
I think
Oh.
it just happens.
Oh,
He pulls us in, you pull us in, you heal us, you get
That's
rid
the.
of our
I think
fat
that's the
arc.
point of the surge. Is it's because it surges, it just happens.
Oh.
Just happens right then.
Okay,
That's
so
sweet.
yeah, everyone, basically everyone in the immediate area gets 1d4 of energy back, and they lose all the shaken, staggered, and severed conditions.
What a heck of a way to end a fight.
So all of
my
a sudden,
God.
Blink Fiend just appears back next to everybody.
Yeah, pretty much.
Mhm.
Because the strands go out again. So I'm still rooted, but I get some hit points back or energy back. Well, not much, but it's a little.
Yeah, you all get 1d4 energy back.
Awesome.
And literally the barrier, this glimmering barrier of energy is just like it almost looks like small miniature shields of energy kind of next to each other in this barrier that's between us and our former friend
The
or Link.
magma worm attempts to rise up against all of these attacks. It's just scales and flesh are ripped apart from this thing all over the place. You guys have been tearing at it, webbing, holding it down to the ground, rooting it. Big guy still sort of holding on to this thing as it tries to rise up, and as it opens its maw, you see it suddenly go as you watch as a blade of pure magma shoots out the back of its head, out of its open mouth, and its head and several feet of the upper part of this mega worm go and fall away. And standing there is Aegis. And Aegis looks at your Nexus, holds the blade aloft, and you see as Aegis, you know this mech. You know this frame. You've seen it in action. You fought alongside it. All of you know intrinsically from the Nexus, you know when somebody surges. But those are based on the Aetheric Knights. You've never seen Apparatus surge until now. Aegis surges, and in very anime style, we see shun, 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 as Aegis is going to make a single attack against each one of you.
Each of us?
Each of you.
This is his secret power.
So
and
I
all of
need
us are going,
everybody to make a stone test. And this stone test is going to be... the stone test is going to be at a +3.
Thank God I'm connected
thank
with
fuck.
big guy.
I
Wait.
passed with aplomb. It's fine. Don't worry
I
about it.
passed.
I pass also with aplomb.
Okay, so Blink Fiend, Humbit failed. Anybody else fail?
Fail.
Okay. So 3 and 4. What was... You didn't critically fail though, right?
No.
Okay. Did anybody get just a 2 on their die roll? Of the ones that failed? Okay.
Ooh!
That just spun around and landed on max damage.
It wanted to go on 2 first.
This-
Is that cocked by chance?
No, it's
No.
not. This is
Good try.
a heavy weapon,
Gotta
so it
ask.
does an additional +2 damage.
Oh
So
my
number
God.
3 and number 4 are going to take 12 points of energy damage.
Shield.
So is this a melee attack or a ranged attack?
It's a melee attack.
Good question.
Okay, so then I'm going to use armor.
Yep.
Yeah. So I am down to 0 energy.
As you are used to seeing, you guys are used to seeing Blink Fiend blink across the battlefield. I imagine there's this moment you look over after Aegis has moved through through your Nexus, and you all look to where, looking around and getting a sense of everybody, you feel this sensation in the Nexus. What's the status that gives you, Dwight? Is that broken, fallen?
Broken.
As this happens, you see Blink Fiend and Humbit sitting there, and the magma blade is sticking out of Blink Fiend's chest, and you can see that it's pierced part of the cockpit. One hand, the other hand of Aegis reaches and grabs the top of Blink Fiend as it slowly pulls the blade out, and then just goes and drops Blink Fiend to the ground, and Aegis holds the empty hand out, and you see a holographic image rise 15 feet in the air. You hear through your Nexus, through that connection that reestablished from number 1, you hear, one down, 4 to go. When you inevitably come searching for me, know this. There is no longer no number one. I am absolute zero. And that's how we're going to end.
No!
I didn't mean to laugh. The math person, the science person in me. Fucking. Oh my god.
Are we gonna play hackers next
So-
session?
Yeah.
Right. Sorry. I left one key piece of information out of that. When he says, you inevitably come to find me on Acades. Acades is an archipelago of frigid fragments tethered with Leviathan chains. I foreshadowed that with the description of the one missing on the apparatus pod and only the 0 showing. It was so... I knew it was corny, but I also knew that it was very anime and very in the spirit of the game.
That's
When you guys set
100%.
up the numbering and all that, and I was like, oh yeah, he's totally gonna be that villain. For the record,
Hero. Badass.
you guys did a total of 121 damage.
Oh my god.
The magma worm only had 75 energy. But I didn't want to take away the fun. I wanted this fight to keep going, because we were so close to the end, and I was like, I just want to see how much damage they're gonna do.
Right.
When the one that actually killed it was that, I think it was when you did the extra damage from the surge when you got to go again, Vi.
Oh my god.
That damage pushed it up
Yeah.
from 66
So really,
to
Humbin is
90.
the MVP.
At that point, it was dead technically, but I just said, nah, I'm just gonna let it keep going. I want to see how much
Beat a
damage they
dead
do.
worm.
That's so fitting that
Hell
she's like
yeah.
smashing it. Like, is this thing still moving? Like, yes or no?
Ironically, it was only moving because you were moving it.
Because you were shaking it so much.
I gotta say
yeah,
this
I think it's still alive.
as we head into the outro here.
Oh my god.
This is some of the most
Alright.
fun I've had in a long time.
This is
Not that I don't
awesome.
enjoy other games, but I just had a blast. It's amazing when you start to grasp how the rules work and you fully lean into the spirit of this game and you just go with it. Like, I think Dwight and I were Dwight made the comment and I seconded it early on. I feel like we're in a 90s mech cartoon.
Yeah.
I had a blast. I hope you guys enjoyed this.
My husband literally said that we need to form Voltron.
Yeah.
I was gonna say.
So
Time.
it's not in Aether Nexus, but Mecha Hack has rules that lets you form a Voltron. And
Yes.
it's oh my
what,
god.
What
Yeah,
happens if you
it's-
take Aether Nexus, which is a hack of the Mecha Hack, and you hack it with Mecha Hack?
Oh yeah.
Oh wow.
The universe implodes and dies in
I was
on
about to
itself.
say,
Like
we-
Baron says, I've never watched this. Is it Escaflowne?
Escaflowne. That's a
Escaflowne.
good one.
Yep.
Thank you for the recommendation, Baron.
Jeremy, you showed up way too late, bud. you missed
Welcome,
the big
Yeah,
epic
he
fight.
meant
You'll have to
say
watch the
welcome,
VOD.
Jeremy. Thanks for stopping in.
Hey, speaking of Jeremy, Erasmus Expeditions, who just showed up, if you've been enjoying this, head over to the Erasmus YouTube channel. In October last month, Jeremy did a trilogy of Aether Nexus called Last Train to Eidolon, I believe.
Hell
and,
yeah.
and that was an incredible game as well. So be sure to check that out. This was part 2. We gave away a copy of Aether Nexus tonight. Next week, Sunday, same time, 4 p.m. Eastern to about this time, 7 p.m. Eastern, will be the third and final session where the 6 are going to face Absolute Zero.
Does he have like a 0 spray painted on his chest?
I guess we'll find out. I have
Bring
sort of
bring your laptops and your quarters for the payphones. We're gonna
what
hack the
zero-
planet.
Hell
Zero
yeah.
is where like the cockpit would be, where number one would be sitting, but it's just a hole that goes all the way through.
Bro, is this why you said earlier too? The zero is still almost
said that.
entirely
Yeah.
visible in the
It'll-
pod.
Yep.
Is that
Yeah,
why?
I
Was
said that. I said that
foreshadowing?
a few minutes ago. I said I was foreshadowing it with that.
I'm sorry.
with the
I
repair.
apologize. I wasn't listening. I was too
Nope.
shocked.
There was a lot going on. So we use dynamic initiative. I was worried when you did a ton of damage, Sarah, and I said we still have like an hour to go. When you really lean into the embellishments and the narrative, the game is going to take longer. But from my perspective, this flowed. This was riffing off of each other. There were a lot of Nexus surges happening, a lot of things happening, and it didn't feel like it was a slog to me. It felt very actiony the whole time. And the only reason it went on, I'd say it went on about an extra 15 or so minutes because I let it go on. This was a better ending in my opinion. If I didn't, if I had stopped it when you had actually killed it, I felt like it would have been
Cheap.
yeah, it would have felt cheap. It would have felt counter. I'm losing my words. It's been 3 hours.
Counterintuitive.
So, with that, I'm going to drop the note here in the chat for the live audience again. If you are watching with us on VOD at a later time over on YouTube, check the information bar down below. There will be a link to the Drive-Thru RPG where you can purchase your own copy of this Electrum selling game. I didn't check today, but I know when I checked on Friday, they were at number 15, I believe, on the top titles in the Drive-Thru RPG store. So check that out. Thank you to everybody who hung out with us, or if you're watching at a later time, we truly appreciate you. And I want to say a huge thank you to Matt, Barker, and Tim, the guys over at Absolute Tabletop, who put this together, had an amazingly successful Kickstarter, and then released the game back in October. This is such a fun game. Thank you for the opportunity to do this, and we've got one more planned. So we hope to see you next Sunday. Thank you, as always, to these amazing role players, these amazing friends, Sarah, Jay, Carrie, Vi, and Dwight, without whom this would have been just me fighting that magma worm all by myself. With that, we're going to end the stream the same way we end every stream.
So Tuesday morning?
You can say everything if you want.
Absolute
MT.